How's it going, algebra peeps? How are we doing? All right, let's get after this. This unit is only 4 days, so let's rock it out. It is very similar. Day 3 is very similar to day 2. So let's write down that HK form that we learned. So y equals m times x minus h plus k, and HK is the point they gave you. So this is HK form. Whoopsie, whoopsie. There we go. Is HK form. Okay. HK. So we are going to take each of these equations and write it in slope-intercept form. But first we'll put it in HK form and then translate it. So again, please make sure these notes are rockin'. They are filled out because I'm pretty sure you can use them to help yourself on the homework, okay? So that might be a good idea. Let's remind ourselves, what are we plugging in, okay? We're plugging in the M. We are plugging in the H, and we're plugging in the K. The Y and the X are going to be part of the Y equals mx plus b. So if you notice, the X and the Y, I'm not going to be plugging in anything because it's not going to be plugged in for the slope-intercept form, all right? So I'm plugging in the M, the H, and the K, and then I will translate it to this magical. Then it will change to this B. So let's get after it and let's see what I'm talking about. All right, the slope is -2. So M equals -2. Bam, we already have this. All right, and what it passes through is 4, -3. So I'm going to label 4, -3 HK. Okay, okay. All right, so I'm going to write down my HK form. So Y equals something times X minus something plus something. So I know I'm plugging things in. All right, so what goes in front? The M. What? It's right there. Plug it in for M. All right, now I'm going to plug in the H and the K. Please make sure in the formula this is a minus, folks. Okay, so I'm going to plug in 4, and then I'm going to plug in -3. All right, so how do I put this in slope-intercept form? Well, when I see a parentheses, chances are that means I'm going to distribute. So let's do that. So -2 times x is -2x. Oh, -2 times -4 is +8. Then I'm going to bring down this -3. So right now, your note should look like mine. Plugged in the M, plug in the H and the K, and then let's solve this. Let's do this. All right. So now I'm going to combine like terms, and I have 8 minus 3, which is +5, and then I bring everything else down. Y equals -2x plus 5. And now I have it in slope-intercept form, okay? So let's think about this. When I am going from water to ice, it's both made out of H2O, but it looks different. The same thing with this. This equation and this equation, it's the same line, but it looks different, okay? So I want it to look like the slope-intercept form so I can graph this. All right, number 2, I'm passing through these 2 points. Oops, I do not have the slope. So I need to find the slope using slope formula. Okay. Let's just look at this section so then we can focus. All right, so I'm going to label x1, y1, x2, y2. I'm going to put the y's on the top because I rise first. So -6 minus 2, because that's my y2 and my y1. And then my my x2 is 1 minus my x1, which is -3. All right, so let's rock this out. So I have -8 over, these two negatives make a +4. -8 divided by 4 is -2. Okay, now I have my m. Now what am I going to do? I'm going to use a point. I'm going to use a point to find the slope-intercept. So to find HK form, sorry. So I'm going to use either point. Both of these points are on the line, so I can use either point, okay? So 1, -6. I'm going to use that one. If you want to use the other one, we will get the same answer at the end. Okay, so don't stress about which one you use. So let's get after it. So I have y equals -2 is my slope. What's in my parentheses? All right, x minus, okay. X minus, what is the point I'm going to use? 1. And then what is my k? -6. All right. So I found the slope. Now I plugged it into HK form. Then I plugged in a point. Woo! Last step. What do they want? They want the slope-intercept. Algebra comes down to what did they give you and what do they want? Pretty simple. So you got to just focus on that. So I distribute -2 times x is -2x. -2 times -1 is a +2. Don't forget about the k on the outside. Bring it down. Combine like terms, and I get -4. Bring everything else down. And I have -2x minus 4. So I know I'm done because I have y equals mx plus this extra number, and we call that the b. Okay, that's my y-intercept. All right, let's move on. Okay, number 3. Now, why does this look different? Okay, so if you notice, sometimes you guys have equations that look like this. F of x equals 2x plus 4. Well, f of x is a fancy way of saying y. Okay, so an input and an output. So if I put money into a vending machine, my output is a candy or chips or whatever you bought. So think of the 4 as your input and 5 as your output. Okay? So the input is 4 and the output is 5. So I'm going to rewrite this as a ordered pair or a coordinate point if you call it that. So my input was 4, my output was 5. Okay, the same thing for the next one. My input is the x, my output is the y. Now I have my 2 points and I find slope. Okay, I'm going to go a little bit faster. x1, y1. This is what you learned last unit, x2, y2. Okay, we're going to keep doing this all semester, so it's in your best interest to learn this. -1 and 3, I'm going to write down. And 5 and 4. Subtract them. Okay, so -1 minus 5, 3 minus 4, because slope formula tells me to subtract. I have -6 over -1, which becomes +6. All right, now I have my m. HK form means I can use either point. Okay, well, I want to avoid a negative, so I'm going to do the 4, 5. Again, it does not matter which point you use if you have 2 of them. Okay, all righty. So let's plug this in. So I have y equals something, x minus something, something. All right. I need to plug in my m, my h, and my k. Biggest mistake I see, guys, is people not putting a subtraction sign in there. Okay, that's just part of the formula. It's just the way the cookie crumbles, so you got to learn it. All right, my m is 6. The point I'm using is 4, 5, so I plug in 4 for my h and my +5 for my k. So from here, you need to distribute and solve. So pause the video and check back. All right, so after distributing and combining like terms, you should have gotten y equals 6x minus 19. And that is our mission, getting it in slope-intercept form. All right, we're going to be quite repetitive in this lesson, folks. It's the same thing. What did they give you? What do they want? So they gave you the slope. The slope is m. Okay? They also gave you the point, which is hk. So let's plug in the information. Y equals what times x minus what plus what? All right? Plug in my m, plug in my h, plug in my k. So I like to organize it so then I don't mess up anything and I know what I'm looking for. So I'm plugging in my m, plugging in my h, plugging in my k. Now I distribute. So 2/3 times x is 2/3 x. People are forgetting the second one. I make a hoop for a reason. I need to times 2/3 times -6. All right, let's do that over here. 2/3 times -6. So I'm going to put that over 1. I'm going to multiply across. And I get -12 over 3. -12 over 3 is -4. Okay? And then I'm going to bring down that 5. Okay? So multiplying fractions across, and then you can plug that in. So again, make sure when you distribute, you're distributing to both of the terms inside. All right, now I'm going to combine like terms. I have +1. I have 2/3 x. And then I have my slope-intercept form. Y equals 2/3 x plus 1. All right, now we're on to B and C. So for these ones, I need you to look at what you have. You're going to be plugging it in to this formula. Woo. You're going to be plugging it into point slope form. And then you're going to be converting to y equals mx plus b. So if you had American dollars and you were going to Europe, you would have to convert money from American dollar to the euro, okay, if we can ever travel again. All right, so the same thing here, going from HK form all the way to slope-intercept form. So B, they gave you the slope, they gave you the point, plug it in, and check back. All right, so for this one, I plugged in my m, which is just 1. I plugged in, and look, it's a -9, but I have a negative as part of my formula, okay, as part of HK form. And then I plugged in 5. So let's make this easier. So if it's a 1, I just leave it blank, and I have x plus 9 plus 5. Okay, so distributing a 1 is just like having this as normal, right? If I distributed the 1, I'd have x plus 9, okay? So y equals x plus 9 plus 5. Combine like terms, and I have y equals x plus 14. Okay, last, I think we are almost done, guys. We have 2 more, okay? Thanks for hanging in there with me. All right, for the next one, again, I need to find slope first because I have 2 points. All right, let's get after it. So I have -7 over 0 as my y2 and x2. I have my y1 is -3, my x1 is 8, and then I put a subtraction sign in between. 2 negatives make a positive. I get -4 over -8, which becomes +1/2. Boom, that's my slope. Now let's put in HK form. All right, so we have the slope of 1/2. All right, so now we're going to plug it in as that is m. Again, it does not matter what point you pick, so pick the one that's easier. So I'm going to pick this one because it's a 0. So I've got y equals 1/2 times x minus, well, it's 0. And I'm going to plug in -7. So again, it's x2, y2, but it's also hk. It's just, we are using certain letters so then you don't get confused. It'd be confusing if I used another x and y. We're just using hk as different letters. It's like having mx plus b. We want different letters so then we know the difference between them. So 1/2 x minus 0 minus 7. Okay, because anything times 0 is 0. So that goes away. I drop it down and I have y equals 1/2 x minus 7. Final answer. If you're given 2 points, find the slope, pick a point, plug in, solve. If you're given the slope, plug it in, and solve to find slope-intercept form. All right, folks, the last one. So we need to compare these two. So given the graph and the equation, which line has a larger slope? So I need to write the equation for both of them so I know what the slope is. All right? Number 4. So I'm going to find my slope by picking 2 points that are on the, you want to find them right on that corner because that's an exact point. and I'm going to rise and run. So rise 1, 2, 3, 4, and run 1. So my slope here is 4. All right, for this one, I need to get y by itself so I know what my slope is. So I'm going to subtract 3x to both sides. I'm going to get negative y equals negative 3x plus 12. Okay, well, I needed to bring that negative with the y, so now I need to divide everything by negative 1. So y equals 3x minus 12. Okay, now my m is attached to x, so it's 3. So the slopes I'm comparing, m equals 3 and m equals 4. Which one is larger? Well, line A is larger. Therefore, my answer is A. If on your notes you just have circling A, you have no idea how you got there. So please make sure you write down the information. All right, rock stars, make sure you have those notes done. Try out the homework, ask questions in class. Peace!